going to be doing some very simple lighting. Lighting is, in my opinion, one of the fundamental, most easy to do things, but a lot of people have not quite cracked this simple little lamp thing. So, I may as well start. Lamps are divided into the point, the sun, the spot, the hemi, and the area. These are a bunch of different lamps. There are others if you get extensions and things like that, but these are the fundamentals. The ones I mostly use are the three in the center, right here. I don't see a lot of need for these hemis, though I do use them occasionally, and areas are just, I find, a little pointless. I mean, I'm sure lots of you use them for multiple reasons, but they're not really what I want to cover. I don't really want to cover this one, this one, this one, or this one in this right now. Maybe I'll get to them. But it's really the sun lamp I want. Alright, so here's what we got. I'm going to add a very simple plane. Blender game, and all I'm going to do is, we all know, lighting is only ever decent if you go to GLSL. I'm also going to be showing you that you need to make sure of things. So I'll be keeping my frame rate and profile on. Shift A, and I'm going to add a camera. Let's just add a viewport for now. Control Alt 0. So I'm actually gonna R, Y, and angle this plane just a bit. We're gonna have our sun, drag it up, and go to the texture viewport. And we go on our bottom plane and give it a material. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to add a sphere. Move it up, scale it down. Now I'm going to shift select our sphere, or I should say bottom plane, and I'm going to zoom out a bunch. I'm going to scale them up and do this. Sphere selected, give it a material. It will be slightly green. Run the game, and of course nothing's going to happen. Anyone would actually fall for that. Of course, what we're going to need to do is, I'm going to set it to a rigid body. I'm going to take our little plane here, give it a collision bounds, take our sphere, give it collision bounds, and it will be a sphere. Run the game, and we'll roll out of the scene. I'll just stay out of the camera for now. We don't really need it. Now, first step of the things, of course, is this looks great and all, but I'm sure our sphere would look so much better if it had a shadow. So let's add shadows in the game, and there we go. Now, first thing you'll notice is, well, it looked nice. Shadows are a vast improvement, but did you notice? It slides, it slides, it slides, and it goes to the end and the shadow vanishes. So if I per se add a UV sphere, I will give it a material. It has a shadow, of course, and I drag it out, and it reaches this kind of magical barrier. I press Shift D, I drag it out, now drag it out this way, and now you will see. Drag it more, and there's a corner. Shift D, drag it out, and mysteriously, one realizes that this is actually a lighting box. It's the craziest thing. Lighting is actually divided into these boxes. I can tell you I wasn't too impressed with this at first, but I found it's actually kind of interesting. So, as you can see, we run the game. Shadows go beyond this point. Select this little lamp, and I move it around, and I can see, sure enough, that's kind of interesting, right? So I was a little confused the first time I saw this a while back. It's been weeks now since I've actually started getting into that, but I used to, none of my games were that necessary. I used to use mostly point lamps and stuff like that. I only recently started getting into sun lamps, but I decided I'd mess around with the settings down here. So it turns out the strangest, there's more to it. So if you drag up and you continuously drag up the sun, more and more and more, it changes. Here, I'll give you a better demonstration. I'll show the shadow box. And this blew my mind at first. I was like, what? There's actually a lighting box involved? And sure enough, there is. So, but there's this interesting thing that happens as soon as you lift it beyond the point. So, R, X, angle. And you can see, light seems to go beyond this point no matter what you do. But, anyways, here, I'll give it a better example. This doesn't happen in this kind of lighting mode, so I'll bring it back up, because it really doesn't matter in this kind of shadowing. But I'm sure a lot of you will have run into this problem, and here I'll show you little ways on how you can fix it. Just have to, like, what is it? It's control. No, this, not it. Use Shift F. You go a little forward. There we go. And this is what I found out. It's pixelated. Run the game. And it's really pixelated. And I hate pixelated shadows. And that's probably what a lot of people will turn away from BGE at this point. Because like, oh, Unreal Engine doesn't have this. That's not entirely true, but yes. Unity has this. It's a really big problem. And part of why I really hate Unity is because I hate these shadows. So I look around at quality and I just increase the quality size. Bring it up to something like 1000. And it starts to get a little better. But it really doesn't fix the fact that it's still a pixelated mess. And I mean, I suppose if you make your game bigger and do it further away, it gets better. But I've always found these shadows more onto the point look a little like a texture that's been pasted onto an object. And that's bugging me because we're not achieving much with this. So let's. There's got to be a way to fix it, right? I mean, there's this kind of like edge around it that's kind of cool, but that really doesn't solve the problem. So here's what you do. So I went to this buffer type, took this variance, and it fixed it, like instantly, snap. And I don't even have to keep this quality size very high because it looks fine. And it acts a little more like a shadow because the closer you get, the closer the object gets, the shadow kind of decreases into this very well put together idea. So I put it at 1000. I was like, I wonder how this affects the frame rate. Sure enough, frame rate is not doing too well. Not too well. Maybe it's got to do with my computer or the fact that I'm streaming, but yeah. And actually that's probably the reason. It was doing really well last time I tested it. I got a full 60 out of it. So it's probably the fact that I'm streaming. I don't know why I brought that up. That kind of ruins the point. But anyways, I believe now that we've switched the shadowing, drag it up, and this happens. This kind of really cool negative layering happens. And I was like, oh my god, I could use this. Look at this. Isn't this cool though? It kind of vanishes as the object gets closer. Whoop. So what I did then, I was like, how much can this handle? Like shadows of this quality. Do shadows affect the frame rate much? So you duplicate a bunch of these. They're all doing the same thing. All running the same material. It's perfect. They all roll off, and it doesn't affect the frame rate. It barely affects the GPU. So I found lighting. You have to keep cues when you're making games on how much your lighting is taking up. Because you'll get stuck, because your game will be you'll lose your frame rate, like, because your game is like an amazing game. You're like, oh, I have this wonderful idea, but you can't actually achieve it because the frame rate catches you every time. And this is why I say constantly keep a Q on your profile. That way you can keep it under Q. And then, oh, I have to quickly mention there's a common misconception. This display thing, this is not the frame rate that your game runs. It only is how fast this thing down here moves. Common misconception, I just have to quickly point out. But anyways, yeah. So moving on this, we've solved kind of how these shadows work, and it looks cool. But I've noticed, and this kind of bugs me, because I think this should be a real feature. Shadows don't really, you know, they don't really like duplicate much. I mean, it looks okay, but they don't have a very good transition with it. But I'm sure a lot of you are now wondering, like, what about this edge thing? Because we have this kind of box, and this could be annoying. So here. Select the lamp. Go to the sun tab here, and we just this thing's that we can increase it and decrease it. And it'll lag your game a bit as it does it, but that's fine. Or lag Blender a bit, but that's how you can extend it. So I think this will be a very cool thing for developers who want to add like fancy lighting tips into their game. So if I like adjust the clipping a bit, I can get this to work. But above it, the shadows look fine, and then they go in, and it looks like crazy cool. So, and you get this kind of black hole negative effect going on. It looks cool. And then more off, I've found adjusting the color of your shadows, because default's not always what you want. Maybe you want your shadows to be green, because let's be honest, why not? So anyways, that is solving lighting in Blender. Very simple way you can actually just quickly solve lighting. Now what I would also advise doing is adding like little points of light throughout your scene. And just solving a few things to make it look a little better, adding light to the undersides, maybe reduce the shadows just a tiny bit. But anyways, that is just a few little quick tips for lighting, because I know it can be a challenge for a lot of people to get those GLSL shaders to really show up a bit. So anyways, that's a few quick lighting tips. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll make more content like this soon. Thank you for watching.